So in this video, I want to talk about Mushoku Tensei. Obviously, from the title of the video and the thumbnail, you know that I want to talk about Mushoku Tensei. But the reason why a series like this always hits so hard is because the story is, in my opinion, it has a multitude of different meanings. And it's a discussion that I've had with many people. I've had publicly on different social media platforms, particularly X or Twitter, and discussing the whole idea of what the story is about. And what's interesting about it is that a lot of people have a lot of different opinions and views on what the story's core value is about. Some see it as being about redemption. Some see it as being about change and growth. Some don't even see that. They just think it's the worst thing since sliced bread, that it's all about condoning bad behavior and Rudy has nothing ever bad happen to him whatsoever. If that's your opinion, then that one is probably out of all of them the stupidest one. But I think it's the saying, a picture says 1,000 words. A lot of people can interpret a story very differently, but one of the things that I really love about Mushoku Tensei is, in my opinion, that sense of growth, because I do think there's a lot of growth that happens in the story and a lot of change that happens within Rudy. Rudy is very self-aware of his own bad behavior. Does it mean that he doesn't do something stupid after he's admitted to doing something stupid? Of course he's going to do something. That's just how humans are. And one of the things that I always find funny about those that criticize Mushoku Tensei, they kind of paint this whole idea that Rudy is like the worst thing since sliced bread. Like, he's committed crimes that are so heinous that we cannot speak about because they're so bad. Has he done some pretty dumb stuff? Absolutely. But also, a lot of fans do use the web novel as the main source. And again, the web novel is not canon. It is a rough draft. The canon story is the light novel, and the anime is based on the light novel. We don't talk about the manga because the manga is just that bad that, again, if you like it, that's fine. But getting into the core parts of it is the relationship between Norn and Rudy, and even Norn and Aisha, because Norn has a lot of reasons to dislike Rudy. She is very much valid in her dislike towards Rudy, because her first ever interaction with him is seeing him wail into her father, the person that has been there through a lot of bad things. So she definitely has some heavy attachment. Some would say that she has some daddy issues. And I've had this discussion with Ed, who is a psychologist, and we have our weekly discussions about Mushoku Tensei as the series is airing, and he is very much noted on it that, yeah, Norn does show a lot of symptoms of attachment issues to, say, Norn, and having a bit of daddy issues. And that's understandable with the things that she has gone through. But the thing is that she has those attachments to Paul, and then she sees her brother, who she's never met before, absolutely beating the living snot out of Paul. Of course she's going to build a lot of hate and resentment, and then she ends up being forced to spend time and live in the same house, which then she ends up living in the dorms. She doesn't want to do that. She's scared. She thinks that she's been cast aside. And one of the things that she notes in is that she's sitting there thinking, oh, well, Rudy won't let me do this because he doesn't like me, but then Rudy does. And then she instantly, reflexively goes, well, maybe he just doesn't care. He wants to cast me aside. And you notice that. That's a bias in her way of perception. No matter what Rudy does in that situation, she will see the negative because she's biased in her negative feelings towards him. And that is something that we as humans do. This is the point that I'm trying to bring up, is that Mushoku Tensei shows the human element of people, the strengths, the weaknesses, the goods, the bads, the highs, the lows. But a lot of the Mushoku Tensei haters don't want to see that. And I think a lot of that is, honestly, I think it's their insecurity. I think, and it's not all, some just generally don't like the series, but I think a lot of hate towards Mushoku Tensei comes from people that see these characters and think to themselves, well, maybe these are a bit of a self-reflection of themselves, flaws that maybe they have themselves that they see. And I think that's why they project this hatred towards the series, because I think Mushoku Tensei is a bit of a mirror on some people out there that, yeah, you are flawed. You make mistakes. We all do. And that's one of the reasons why I brought up this discussion of, is Rudy irredeemable? And a lot of people say that Rudy's so irredeemable, that he's done so many bad things. And then when I ask them what is so irredeemable, they always reflexively either use the web novel or they just skirt and move the goalpost of being like, oh, well, you're defending it. And it's like, no one's defending Rudy's behavior. And even in these recent episodes, this particular episode that I'm discussing about, Rudy is self-aware of his bad behavior. He talks about how he shut himself off, that he didn't want to come out, and he himself is sitting there saying, I have to do something about it. I have to get into this room and I have to be there for Norn and try and get her out of her room. And he even says that if he leaves now, he can't go back, because he himself sees situations that other people have going through and seen, wow, this is something that I did myself, and he's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to be a good brother and trying to help her through this difficult situation, because she has been measured to someone that she cannot even bring herself to, and she hates her brother. Again, she has a reason. It's a legitimate reason. But then she goes into this environment where everyone gushes over Rudy. Rudy this, Rudy that. Oh my God, Rudy's so amazing. You're so lucky to have Rudy as your brother. Has Rudy taught you about magic? Oh, I spoke to Rudy that one time. Oh my God, he's so amazing. And having that thrown at her over and over and over and over again would anger her, because she wants to hate Rudy, but the more she sees of him and more other people vouch for him, even Richard, even her own dad is sitting there saying, hey, it was a bit of a situation that, was a bit complex. And that's the thing actually that's kind of funny, is that I actually think a lot of Mushoku Tensei haters are like Norn. They're young mindset. They might be older. They might be in their 20s, 30s, 40s. It doesn't matter what their physical age is. Their mental age is much more lower. They're mentally just immature and don't understand that the real world, the world outside of games and anime and TV shows, is very different. And I think Mushoku Tensei does try to show the realistic aspects of that. And so outside of that, they kind of don't understand that we're all flawed. And I think they know that, but deep down inside, they don't want to accept reality, much like Norn. Norn needs to accept the reality that that situation that she walked in on was very complex. Paul said some dumb things, Rudy said some dumb things, they both had a fight, but they both resolved it and moved on. But Norn was the one that was holding on to the past. And then when she realizes that she needs to let go, that she needs to give Rudy that chance to be the brother that she wants and deserves to have, a good, loving brother, she's able to become a better person. She's able to come out of her shell. She's able to grow and develop better skills and be able to learn at this academy. And that is the thing I absolutely love about Mushoku Tensei. It's about the human elements that make us who we are. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. No one, and I mean no one, is perfect. I mean, we can joke about being these perfect little pinnacles, but I think that's pretty narcissistic to think that we're perfect individuals, because we all make mistakes. We all wish that we could do things different. We all want to become better in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes we throw ourselves into those corners and wallow away in our own self-pity, and I think that's what some of the haters do. They throw themselves into that corner and are too prideful to admit their own faults. But that's fine to admit your own faults. That's part of being human. And I sometimes wish the haters for Mushoku Tensei would just sit down and not allow their bias to control them and their hatred to blind them, because if they sat there and watched what the show was really about, they'd understand the true message of what Mushoku Tensei is really, really about. And that is the agency of change, as Ed likes to say it as. And I really look forward to the future episodes and people that do enjoy the series, that are anime-only fans, really experience the story for what it is, because there are always highs, there are always lows, and it is a journey, not just about Rudy, but those around him as well. And it is that story that is really, really enriched in human emotions and human-like behavior. Sure, it doesn't have heaps of action in it, and that's fine. Not every series has to have action. I'm saying that, very self-aware of my recent comments and videos about other series, but the series really shows the human elements and delves into many different layers of what makes us who we are. The world itself, the people around us, the individuals, the agency of change, the past, the present, the future. All these different layers are all intertwined into Mushoku Tensei that makes it such a great series. And I'd love to ask the question off to you. What makes you love the series? What draws you to the series? Is it just the magic and the fantasy and the isekai elements to it? Or is it, as I've mentioned in this video, change, growth, development? Because these are the episodes that I absolutely love, because they do really draw out a lot of emotions. You don't have to cry in an episode to be really encapsulated in the emotional roller coaster. But this was one episode that I was looking forward to, and that is the Norn's shutting herself away and Rudy having to come to terms that he needed to be there for her, and him going through the anguish. I mean, he even made mistakes when trying to find out more information about Norn. Like, he was ready to really cause some harm to some people that were innocent because of how he blinded himself by his own anger and frustration, because he saw what Norn was doing as very similar to his own past behavior. And Rudy was scared to see Norn go down that same path because he himself knew that it wasn't the right path. That's why Rudy having a second chance has allowed him to become such a better person. I just wish the haters for Mushoku Tensei would follow the same lessons as Rudy. Grow, become better, and don't allow your own pride and ego and hatred to blind you as an individual, because you're not going to become a better person from it. So again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.